roaming around the world, absorbing as much radioactive energy as he could. Practically absorb radiation as much as he could so he can grow much stronger. Godzilla, of course, knew that bears would carry powerful in the past. Godzilla has constantly amped himself so he can increase his power and strength. And even with that, he was still nothing to bears. And remember, Godzilla grew stronger the longer he lives and the older he gets as well. It's not like the opposite for us humans, it's because Godzilla's biology is much more complicated. So yeah. Of course, Bone was pretty interested in Godzilla's biology, seeing how powerful he is. So she decided to practically create the research Piracy or Monarch in this universe. Of course, Bone was created for mostly to practically save Godzilla's species or many other titans. Eventually, after Bone is able to research and even find out the ancient past, she's able to find out that there are many other titans, and there was even a great war between the titans, where Godzilla actually participated alongside all his kind, alongside the great apes, which were practical enemies or rivals to the Godzilla species. Which of course Bone was pretty impressed by the power Godzilla possesses. She also saw an ancient text about one of the first ever titans, the mother of all titans, Shimo. She was supposed to be one of the ancient titans that lived way before even Godzilla himself. Of course, Beerus didn't know about it, nor did Godzilla. Godzilla, of course, knew about Shimo's existence, since he's the one practically that sued Shimo a long time ago. But you also find out that Godzilla is able to also face many other powerful beings, like Ghidorah in the past, and even Mutos. Mutos are practically the current enemies, which were supposed to be from birth to face Godzilla species, which have incredibly powerful weapons to practically disable their atomic breaths or their dorsal plates. Godzilla going around the world will, of course, then attract the attention of the Mutos, and which can force them into practically fully growing and eventually trying to fight off against Godzilla. Of course, Godzilla won't already be prepared. Being already amped, he's easy to take out both female and male Muto. But little that Godzilla knew is he was about to face the Muto Prime himself. Of course, Godzilla did not want to practically waste his energy fighting the Muto Prime, knowing that his dorsal plates will most likely not survive the attack. But of course, before Godzilla can actually fight the Muto Prime didn't disappear, seemingly as he is nowhere to see. Godzilla is of course confused and looks around, wondering where the Muto Prime went. But of course, Godzilla thinks that he doesn't have enough time for that, since he has to worry about the Saiyans, and of course, to about Gohan to become stronger. Knowing that Goku is an incredibly powerful warrior, and his son does possess immense potential, Godzilla can sense it because of his power. Eventually, Godzilla will go around and absorb more and more radiation, eventually growing him stronger. By the time Godzilla's power would have increased immensely, and he would then go back to Piccolo and Gohan after at least 6 months of absorbing the radiation. Of course, Godzilla was trying to train both Gohan and Piccolo, but he decided to test out their powers, and eventually he does learn some techniques from them. Of course, Godzilla cannot practically use Ki, but he can utilize it with his atomic breath. Godzilla can practically use Ki, but a different way. He can practically empty his atomic breath way more with Ki than he actually has with radiation. But radiation is still a much better factor than Ki, which is still pretty good for Godzilla. Godzilla then continues to grow stronger, with of course helping Piccolo and Gohan grow stronger, by just practically testing them with his primal strength. He practically wants to increase their physical strength while they practically try to focus on their techniques, which Godzilla trains himself as well. He decides to practically train with Piccolo when he's in his giant form. Of course, Piccolo in his giant form is only around 60 meters, while Godzilla is around 120 meters. He's way larger than Piccolo, but Piccolo is able to provide just enough so Godzilla can push to a limit due to his immense techniques and incredible battle style, which of course Godzilla is able to adapt due to his immense adaptability and regeneration. Of course, Piccolo was able to pick up that Godzilla also has regeneration, and he can actually see that in the radiation, Godzilla's regeneration also grows immensely stronger as well. Of course, it's not like it heals instantly like his, which is his making DNA, but it's much more slower, but still pretty compatible. Of course, eventually, after the full year when it passed, all the humans were training immensely hard, with most of them reaching power levels from around 2,000 to 3,500. Which of course Piccolo will be one of the strongest and Gohan will actually surpass even the humans. With Gohan's training with both Piccolo and Godzilla, Gohan was able to get to a power level of around 8,000. Goku of course would also been training much more harder, so he can practically increase his power. Goku also would have decided to also went to the afterlife and eventually decided to face off against one of the titans inside there, being Dagon, who is the father of Godzilla. Of course, Goku would face off against Dagon, and Dagon was actually able to speak because of him practically learning how to speak and learn the language of the humans and mortals. Dagon, of course, was able to talk to Goku and actually explain the ancient past between Gojiras, Mutos, and Great Apes and other Titans. Of course, Goku will be pretty interested in this story, and eventually decided to focus on doing that. Of course, Dagon does train Goku so he can grow him as stronger. Dagon also explains that he also trained Godzilla in the past so he can grow him as stronger. Eventually telling Goku that Godzilla, when he was really young, he was incredibly juvenile and always wanted to practically prove his father that he would deserve the title of the king, even if it means that he has to push his body to the limits. This actually surprises Goku, and eventually even Dagon explains to Goku that his that Dagon explained that he has met Goku's father. And Goku was actually surprised. He has met his father, but he doesn't know who his father is. He knows the Saiyan, but who's his father? Of course, Dagon will explain that Bardock was a powerful Saiyan, and he was immensely strong. He is actually able to face him, since Dagon is practically in the afterlife of heaven. He can practically go to hell if he wants to, and he has faced Bardock inside there, proving that Bardock is immensely powerful and strong, and even worthy of being a rival to him. Bardock has actually been training inside hell, and so has Dagon due to his immense life in the afterlife. Of course, Goku will train with Dagon and eventually learn how Godzilla's abilities work, the radiation, absorption, and many other things. He also learns from Dagon that Godzilla is also able to learn Ki, which is immensely useful for Godzilla himself. And Goku is actually surprised that Godzilla can actually learn Ki, since he thought that it wants to take a much more longer time, but a full year and a half, maybe a full year and a half or more, but Godzilla was able to learn in just 8 months. Is actually surprising to Goku, but Goku does continue his training. And due to this, Goku actually is able to arrive just in the nick of time before the Saiyans do arrive. Now, the power levels for everyone alongside Goku, Godzilla, and many others will be explained right now. With, of course, the humans having power levels from 2,000 to 350, and of course, Gon will be much stronger, having 8,000, Piccolo having a power level of 11,000, Godzilla staying the highest, and Goku actually being the second strongest. With Goku having reached a power level of 15,000, and Godzilla reached a staggering power level in his base, which is due to the constant amps he's able to get, is practically a new base to Godzilla himself, due to his able to practically absorb it and separate it inside his body thanks to Ki control. He's able to learn things to Piccolo. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's still pretty good. So around 50% of Godzilla's base, or full power, is around 1 million. And at full power, he's at around 2 million, which is incredibly strong. Of course, Godzilla being immensely strong will be incredibly powerful as well. Eventually, of course, Godzilla will have to face off against the Saiyans with alongside Z-Fighters and Goku himself as well. But of course, Vegeta's smart is to snap his fingers. Of course, everyone will be confused alongside Godzilla, but eventually they hear a powerful roar. And eventually Godzilla will turn as he sees Muto Prime. But this Muto Prime is much more different. It's actually covered in a red light. It's seemingly embedded by some energy. Purple one, in fact. Godzilla is of course ready to fight against Muto. He actually says that the Muto Prime has also grown stronger thanks to absorbing radiation like him, but it's also gained an amp thanks to Vegeta. Which is of course actually able to land first before Nappa, and Vegeta was able to find the Muto Prime and defeat it. But he was also able to practically get under control thanks to one of the Frieza Force actually able to build devices for these Titans. Also around the world, Titans will be pretty a common thing, but only on Earth would there be incredibly more. But of course, the Frieza Force will be able to find out other Titans are on the different planets or aliens as well. Of course, Muto Prime will be under Vegeta's control and eventually try to attack Godzilla, but Godzilla will be able to practically evade the attacks of the Muto Prime, slamming it with his tail and roaring at it. The Muto Prime roars back and eventually tries to use a sonic scream, but due to Godzilla's immense power and speed, he's able to practically dodge out of the way just in the nick of time, but one of his dorsal plates is incredibly damaged. Godzilla realizes that the only way for him to defeat Muto Prime is to practically sacrifice his dorsal plates and practically cannot use his atomic breath. Of course, Godzilla knows the stakes, but even with his physical strength, he should be enough to take on the Saiyans. So Godzilla decides to practically fight the Muto Prime, with thereby being intensely deadly. Of course, everyone else will face off against Nappa, with most of these fighters will easily able to overwhelm Nappa, but Vegeta, on the other hand, will be much more different. Because Vegeta was actually able to train slightly with the Muto Prime, even if it was just for one day. But the Muto Prime possesses a base power level way before even Vegeta gained an amp of 500,000. And with this, of course, due to the immense power level difference, Vegeta was also able to get a Zenkai, pushing his power level to around 50,000. And with this, of course, he's able to practically take on most of the other fighters, even with their increased power. But of course, Goku has also learned how to increase his power as well. Goku then fights off against Vegeta, and eventually he has to push himself to use Kaioken times 4, which is enough to overpower Vegeta. but Goku is actually able to handle Kaioken times 4 with minor difficulty. Both Goku and Godzilla knew that they must push their bodies to the entire limit. So Goku decided to partly transfer the knowledge of Kaioken to Godzilla, decided to partly give him an amp just in case. Godzilla decided to absorb this knowledge and then nods to Goku as a means of thank you. Goku would then nod as he would then power up. As he would shout Kaioken times 8, increases his power immensely as he wishes at Vegeta when he transforms to his greater form. Before Vegeta can actually fully transform to his greater form, Goku punches him so hard in the jaw that sends him flying. Vegeta coughs out blood and Goku cuts off his tail, sending him flying and eventually sent into outer space. Or so Goku thinks, as when Vegeta then sent back to the ground unconscious. Goku then falls unconscious as well after using the users of Kaioken. Godzilla then looks to Goku as he then looks back at Muto Prime, still having the immense amped and still be under Vegeta's control, but now much more wild. Godzilla knows what he must do, as Godzilla then rushes against Muto Prime, lifting it on his shoulder and eventually trying to use something that he has actually used before, but he has never done it in those circumstances. Godzilla then roars as he produces an atomic pulse. With this, of course, he shot all his dorsal plates and eventually pushes the Muto Prime, sending him flying high in the sky as Godzilla decides to fire a weak atomic breath, but this weak atomic breath is just enough to kill the Muto Prime. Godzilla roars both in pain and victory. As Godzilla decides to leave to the ocean to try to recover his dorsal plates, knowing that for his dorsal plates to recover will most likely take a couple of months or so years. All the fathers do thank Godzilla, and Godzilla nods as he goes back to the ocean. Goku just wishes that he could practically thank Godzilla, but he's too weak to practically do that, as he is then sent to a hospital alongside Vegeta, but in a much more secure place because of him being much more violent. But of course, due to injuries, Vegeta cannot move nor gain consciousness for a couple of months. While in these months, Bulma was able to figure out a location of another Titan, being Kong. Of course, he will be found in Skull Island, and eventually Bulma was able to also find Gia, and eventually she will actually see in the girl that she has the ability to probably communicate with Kong. She will also be able to gather some research helpers that can help her with some things, and eventually mostly she will be able to survive. And with the outside Kong's help, they're able to defeat the Skull Colors and eventually practically gain Kong to a much more safer place, or to live much more safely because of the Skull Colors being defeated. Of course, one would also would have told Gia about Godzilla's existence and how they must keep Kong in his Skull Island until Godzilla is practically on much more neutral terms with not only the Z-Force but also Kong himself. So she thinks that if Godzilla does see Kong, he most likely see it as a means of attacking, and means that his so-called friendly so-called partners are practically trying to betray him. So that's why she wants to keep Kong on Skull Island, so Godzilla not think that they're betraying him or something like this. Since Godzilla is trying to recover his dorsal plates. And even without the dorsal plates, Godzilla is immensely strong. He can practically take on Goku and own the rest of the Z-Fighters by himself. But this is the end for the sport. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara.